Hi everyone, I'm MaryAnn. I'm a voice coach and visual artist from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to another installment of my weekly vlog series, Find Your Voice. So this is where I share what I'm learning as an everyday singer, as someone who is on a singing journey of self-discovery, as a voice coach, as a singing instructor, as someone who's all about pursuing my dreams and going after whatever it is that really matters to me and creating a worthy and meaningful purpose for myself. Because I believe that every single one of us here, there is something that we want to express over the course of our entire life. And that could be like in the form of pursuing your dream, it could be in the form of how you live your life, going after what really matters to you. And ultimately, I believe also it's really about discovering our true selves and discovering who we really are and what are we here to create in this lifetime. So that's why I call this series Find Your Voice with a capital V, because it's not just about singing, it's not just about working on your voice, it's really also about life and how do we live our lives expressing whatever it is that we want to, whatever we feel called to. And ultimately it's also about, every single thing that we do in life is also a performance. So by working on our voice and expression, it is also directly to how we perform in our everyday lives as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. So this past week, I started on my 100-day illustration challenge, which basically my goal is to create 100 illustrated artworks over 100 days and publish them, publish a new one every single day for these 100 days. I obviously do not work on like a new one every single day. I basically batch my works together and work on them, like a few of them concurrently. And I did the math this past week where I completed 8 artworks. It took me a grand total of 40 hours. So that's about 5 hours per artwork. And if you divide the 40 hours over 7 days of a week, it was about 6 hours a day of working on my art. Which is kind of a lot because there's other things that I need to do as well. One thing that I learned this week was because I then start to examine why did it take me so long to work on these works, and is it going to be sustainable for the next 90 plus more days that I still have in this challenge. And I realized that one reason why it took me so long is because of my lack of impeccability. So what is impeccability? Impeccability in a nutshell basically means you do it once, you do it right, and then it's done. And you don't have to waste time and energy and effort going back to correct something that happened as a result of you not being careful or not being clear about the sequence of tasks that you're supposed to do. And sometimes, just being distracted while you're doing whatever you need to. Sometimes also we kind of do things half-heartedly, and so we don't put in the best effort that we can actually put in, and so it's like, I'm gonna have to redo it again because it's just not up to the standard that is expected. So when it comes to most things we want to do in general, there are a few things to watch out for in order to ensure that we are impeccable, to ensure that we are practicing this principle of impeccability in the things that we do. First of all, you want to make sure that you know the right sequence of things, that the things that you need to do are in the right order. And so what that means is also taking some time to plan out exactly what you're going to do. And making sure, running through your plan to make sure that it works and make sure that it makes sense, so that when you actually execute it, all you have to do is just follow whatever it is that you have planned, and you shouldn't be making too many adjustments along the way. Of course, like I said, this is just a general thing, doesn't always apply every single time, but it's something that we can apply and practice in our lives, in the things that we do. And then the second thing when it comes to impeccability is you want to make sure that you are not distracted. You want to make sure you're giving it your 100% undivided focused attention. I know we live in a very busy time now where we tend to want to multitask because we think that saves us time by doing 2 things concurrently, but it really does not forward us in any way, because when your attention is divided, you're more likely to make mistakes, you're more likely to not put in your best effort, and it ends up taking a lot longer to complete whatever you needed to do if you were, concurrently doing something else. Then if you just focus your 100% undivided attention on that one task, and you could get it done a lot faster than when you were distracted. The third thing when it comes to impeccability, it is about meeting the expected standard that you have set for yourself or that has been set for you. And the only way that we can do that is to really ensure that we are giving our best effort, like 110% effort into making sure that we do the thing the way it's supposed to be done and we're giving it our full attention. And that's really what impeccability is all about. It's the essence of impeccability. It's not just doing it once and doing it right, but it's really doing it to the expected standard as well. So how does all of this apply into our voice practice? Well, to be honest, voice exercises can be very boring and they can be very mundane. And it's very difficult sometimes to want to do them on a consistent basis, because the thing with voice exercises too is that you can't just like cram, all like your entire weeks of voice practice into one day, because it does not work that way. If anything, you want to spread it out over a few days and do a little bit each day, and every single day if you can, and just do a little bit every single day, and that's how you would see the fastest improvement. Unfortunately, that also means that it is the most boring sometimes, because you can be doing the same exercises for a long, long, long time. So, impeccability is something that you want to be mindful of and practice that when you are doing your voice practices. So the first thing, making sure it's the right sequence. You want to make sure you're doing the right sequence of exercises. And the reason why this is the case is because if you do them in the wrong sequence, then it actually does more harm to your voice than benefit. The other thing also is that if you are not, like for example, if you don't do warm-up exercises first, you end up doing another exercise that's a bit more advanced, and your voice is not warmed up properly, you may not actually be able to do those advanced exercises. And then when you realize that, I'm struggling, I should just go back to the warm-up, it's like you have wasted time where you could have just started with the warm-ups first. So yeah, first know exactly what is the sequence of exercises that you need to practice, and do and follow that sequence that has been set up for yourself. And then the second thing is you want to give it your 100% undivided attention. So that means that when you're doing your voice exercises, don't be like watching TV at the same time, or trying to like do the dishes at the same time, or like trying to prepare food at the same time. Like really give your voice exercises your 100% undivided attention. So our voice is our natural ability. Like nobody taught you how to use your voice. Not the same as learning how to speak. Nobody taught you how to use your voice. It's something you could do ever since you were a baby, and you cried like mad and disturb your neighbors. So a lot of times we take it for granted that as long as we are doing the exercises, it doesn't matter what else is happening at the same time. But that's really not how it works, because if you're not focused on doing your exercises, you are actually missing out on a lot of data that is there for you. Like, how your throat feels, how things are shifting in your vocal mechanism. Like if your attention is focused somewhere else while you're doing your voice exercises, you're going to miss out on a lot of these minute adjustments in your voice that sadly nobody else can tell you what to look out for. I mean, like your voice coach can tell you it should feel like this, it should feel like that, but if you are not paying attention to it, you're not going to be able to sense it for yourself. And our voice is a very personal instrument in that nobody else can tell you how it feels. It feels like, so in general it would feel a certain way, but different people's vocal structure may be slightly different, and so it might feel different for you. So if you're not focused on your voice exercises, if you can't feel the differences for yourself, then you're not doing yourself a favor here, and you're just wasting your time doing exercises half-heartedly, and it doesn't work. And which brings me to the third point, giving it your 110% every single time you do your voice exercises. Like, are you giving it your best effort? Because even if you're giving it your 100% undivided focus and attention, you might still be half-assing it. And that does not work either. Because every single time you want to do your voice exercises, you really want to do them as though you are performing. as though there is like a room full of audience around you, and they are here to listen to you perform. And the reason why is because when we think about performance, somehow we tend to give our best effort when we know that we have to, when people are watching us, or like when people have paid to come and watch you perform. It's helpful to imagine such a scenario because it puts you in that frame of mind where you are doing a performance, and so you want to give your best effort into your voice practice as well. And this is really important because if you're going to do these exercises, if you're going to spend that time anyway to do those exercises, you might as well put in 100% and do your best, 110% effort, give it your 100% undivided focus attention, and do it in the right sequence, and just do it once, do it right, and get the most out of that session, rather than doing it half-heartedly, and it really does not forward you, and you're gonna take a longer time to progress in this area. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and if you have enjoyed today's video, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and I will see you next week.